One of the topics that we're exploring at the Heretic School is what are your narratives and what are the narratives that you hear from other people? And what is that connection to the sources of information, where they get their information and where you get your information? And how does that correlate with the narratives that you find yourself talking about, that you feel drawn to, that you feel like come up in conversations? And I think there's a really strong correlation that it's good to be aware of. Is that your narrative? Did that come from somewhere else? Do you believe that narrative, or are you just trusting the source of information? Or is your narrative more integrated? Is it more nuanced? Does it combine your experience, your understanding of the world, as well as trusting the source of information and where you've gathered information over time to create that narrative? Is it more complex than you heard it on the news or you heard it in the New York Times? And I think becoming more aware of our narratives and the narratives of others and where they are coming from will give us a higher level of awareness and understanding of we are often a product of where we get our information. We are often the carriers and the amplifiers of that information. And I think that's something to be aware of, whether it's on social media or in conversations. So when I think about where we get our information, it's very often that, and there's a narrative that I have, which I think is that I'll analyze, which I have a narrative about domination systems. And I think that this is the umbrella that we all live within. This is one of the focuses that I have on trying to understand systemic problems that we have in the world, and how can we change that? How can we start to, as an individual, actively work to change these wider, larger, complex systemic problems? And so after reading about systems thinking and systems science for many years, Donella Meadows is an author that I'll put in the description. I came to understand systems on a higher level. And then it wasn't until I started reading books by Riane Eisler and her work on domination systems and what she calls partnership systems, which is really the goal that she puts forth and the solution, as well as nonviolent communication and the work that Marshall Rosenberg has done. When I saw that both of those really incredible sources of information, Marshall and Riane, who I highly respect and look up to and admire, when they both came forth separately with discussion about domination systems as the problem, and they both have these different solutions. You know, Riane talks about partnership systems, and Marshall Rosenberg talks about nonviolent communication, which I think both are very, very important, and I'll touch on them both in the Heretic School, and we will learn about them both because I think they're both great ideas, and they're both identifying the same problem. And I think as I start to see people that I respect who don't necessarily work together or know each other, and they are bringing forth the same narratives, they have come upon the same discovery, or they've come upon the same reality, the same belief. To me, that's a really strong point of validation. And so, you know, these are thinkers that are you know, Marshall in his case is dead. Riane is, I think, in her 80s now, and they've written books, you know, that have been decades old. So these are not new ideas. And I think many times I think it's really important to find really good ideas and extend them forward and carry them forward. And I think bringing these ideas to the modern day, which I don't hear a lot of discussion about domination systems, is something that I think is really important. And my world experience, my self-learning through experience has validated that we do live in a domination system, and we are dominating ourselves, and we're dominating each other, and there's hierarchies, and we can blame capitalism and racism and environmental destruction, but these are all, to me, with it under the umbrella of domination. And I think these are important points, because if we start to look at how do we want to solve the root problems, understanding what is the larger umbrella, to me, I think is the best place to start, and see if we can all agree that domination systems is what we're dealing with, and that capitalism and socialism, as Riane Eisler talks about, are both domination systems. Understanding why that is, because they both give power away from the individual. The individual no longer has needs and wants or feelings. They're disconnected from those things. And again, to give you kind of the Cliff Notes version, to take action and be empowered, all we have to do to resist and respond to a domination system is to feel our feelings, to have wants and needs, and to allow others the same liberties and the same freedoms and the same autonomy and sovereignty. And I think these are the best ways that we can do this in ourselves and in our close relationships, in our community, in our families. And to me, this is now an empowered narrative. It's an empowered narrative that we can all understand, we can all take action upon. And to me, that is a much better place to start, and why I believe so strongly in the domination narrative. So if this is interesting, if you want to dive deeper, join us at the Heretic School for classes, and all the information is in the description below. So thanks again for listening, and see you soon.